I suppose one of the biggest fears that people have when they move to France is understanding the inheritance rules and taxes. They are completely different to the UK. So the first thing to consider is what makes you a tax resident, and there are certain rules and regulations that dictate whether you are a resident in France or not. Once that's been established, the French have the right to impose their taxes on your worldwide assets. So that means even if you've left cash in the building society in the UK, they can still be taxable for all sorts of different reasons in France. A lot of people when they move to France are on second relationships, second marriages, they have children, they have stepchildren, they have adopted children, and they have all of those concerns around how they can move their assets between each other and to the children after they've died. In the UK, the system's simple. If your assets are worth more than £325,000 when you die, the estate is taxed at 40%. The beneficiaries receive their legacies net of that tax. In France, it's a completely different ballgame and gets complicated. For example, each beneficiary has an allowance. In my situation, I have 3 stepchildren. If I want to leave anything to those stepchildren, the allowance is around €1,500 and the tax would be 60%. And that's quite frightening for people. Also, you have to separate in France the succession law and the succession taxes. So the law will dictate in a strict regime who will get what first. If you don't make any formal plans when you come to France, it could be that your assets don't pass to your spouse as you wish or your partner. They'll actually go to your children in certain proportions first and then to the spouse thereafter. In our British minds, we really want everything to go to each other first and then to the children or our chosen loved ones or beneficiaries thereafter in any proportions that we like. And it's very difficult and complicated for us to understand that there's a different set of rules that actually tell us something completely different. Each child will get an allowance of €100,000 from their parent. And if you've got 2 parents that are still living, then you get 2 lots of allowances. So the inheritance rules in France can be great if you know a way to navigate around them. The difficulty is if you don't do anything when you come to France, you could leave yourself open to having your estate and your wishes not being upheld when you die. If you are not married, for example, you're not considered to be related in French terms and therefore there's no allowance, but there is an allowance between spouses. So quite often one of our recommendations is that you actually get a civil partnership or you get married in France simply to avoid that onerous tax. So it's important for us when we're looking at a client's situation to find out what they have, where it's held, and what they want to do with it. Of course, we understand you want control over your cash and your assets while you're alive, and we also try and understand that you want to make sure when you're not here anymore that your assets are passed to who you like in the best way possible without the tax being too onerous in France. It's really important to be able to look at your situation when you're planning to move to France or just arrived so that we can find the right route for you, for your life in France, to give you peace of mind. So the situation in France is completely the opposite way around to the UK, but there are fantastic tools that will enable you to achieve the majority or all of what you're looking for out of your assets and not have those nasty taxes later on down the line. So from a planning point of view, succession planning and looking at inheritance taxes that are due is key, and actually everything else that we do is almost built around that, because this is the most important thing that we need to get right so that you've got peace of mind in France and you know exactly how your assets are going to be distributed after you die.